Hey there, it's Mrs. Beasley. So I know Shelby had wanted an interview and Alicia too. So I'm just going to video myself in case other people want one as well. So, how long have I been teaching? I've been teaching with public schools, I would say 17 years, although Indiana only recognizes about, I think, 11 of those years because I've only been teaching in Indiana about 11 years, and those were all intermittent. It wasn't like consistent and smooth. Two, why did you choose teaching? I chose teaching. I love reading, I love writing, and I wasn't sure I wanted to be a journalist. I was actually all lined up for political science major, and then in talking to a friend and really discovering my true heart, I changed my major to English. And then also, why? I feel like teaching chose me, if you will. I always call it like God tricked me in the God tricked me. He always tricks me back into the classroom. I'll try all these other things, and then it's like, oh, there's a big door open in this area. We in this school. We need you to teach. So, um, I love it. It kind of brings me alive. I love interacting with the kids. Three, is this your first career? It might have been my first career where I had other jobs beforehand. I had had, gosh, in high school and on, like for a while, I did It's called AmeriClean, and we professionally cleaned carpets and homes and buildings and so forth. And I was like, oh, I don't think I want to do that for a living. In the summers, I would detassel corn in the fields. I knew I didn't want to do that kind of work forever. I would come home from college and it was called Summer Metalcraft Steel. And I would work in the steel factory. And again, I knew I didn't want to do that forever. So out of college, those are some of the things I had done. Was administrative assistant, like secretarial, and then I got into substitute teaching a lot. And then I've decided to go ahead and finish up with my teaching credentialing and do, I think it was called an internship credential. That's what it was called. I don't know if they still have this in California. So it was an internship credential for teaching. So you graduated from college, you got yourself a summer school position teaching that served as some of your student teaching hours, and your professor came by every so often. Then from there, you went on and got yourself a full time job in the fall. And again, your professor would come by and observe you and stuff. So I don't recommend that. That was a real crash course. Um, so those are the other jobs I have held. And then, oh, other jobs I had held too were massage therapy and police officer. I was police officer with the Los Angeles Police Department for 5 years, like 1997, 96 to 2001, something like that. And then later I became a massage therapist. I went back to school and became nationally certified, and that was fun. And worked in Indiana at my own clinic, and then worked out in Hilton Head Island. And then I got back into teaching from there. Number five, I've taught eighth grade for a couple years in Indiana and in South Carolina. And then I taught ninth grade at in Lafayette at Jeff High School for like 6 years. And I've taught different things. I've taught 11th and 12th at a charter school in Portage called New Vistas High School. And I've taught mostly at Maryville High School. I've taught 10th and 11th. I did like a semester at Griffith High School too. Six, where did you obtain your education? Was Azusa Pacific University and Anderson University. I graduated in 1993 with my Bachelor of Arts in English from Azusa Pacific University. And I went on to get my master's through Indiana Wesleyan University, Masters of Education in '07. 7, what college courses were most helpful in your career preparation? I don't feel like very many of them were helpful. I'm going to be honest with you. Well, ones were if we got to interview a real deal teacher or hear stories about, what it meant to teach and so forth, that's important. It's important to have your textbook and your theories and, all of those under your belt and the foundational studies. But anything where we got to do real hands-on and that I could walk away with actual lessons or actual ideas and activities for class, those were meaningful, of course, to me. Um, 8, are there any areas in which you wish you had more training in college? Yes. Like I said, I'm just going to reiterate, like, I wish that I knew more about the actual practice of teaching and had heard more stories from real teachers on what worked for them, what didn't work for them, and actually got to observe more and have more hands-on because it is a hands-on job. It's not just textbooks. 9, what degree do you hold? The degrees I hold: Bachelor of Arts in English, my teaching certification, my Master's of Education in Curriculum and Instruction. And the BA was Azusa Pacific University, AZUSA, and my master's is Indiana Wesleyan University out of Muncie, or sorry, no, it's another Marion. It's another M word, out of Marion, Indiana. 10, did you take any state certification examinations? Describe them. Oh my gosh, I got to remember what they are. So at the time, it would have been California, and I think it's called the CTC or CT something. So I took that to get into teaching from there. But then, going other places around the country, I had also taught later in life, I taught in South Carolina, Georgia, and Indiana. So getting back into teaching, I had to get recertified, and that would have been in 2004, and that would have been the praxis testing. So there were 3 or 4 different praxis tests I had to take, and you really have to know your material. I just remember having to know how to read and analyze literature, and you really have to, if you're going to teach literature, you got to know how to deal and operate in literature. And so I remember that, but I got pretty good scores on those. And I remember buying test prep in booklet, um, a big book, and it did help me quite a bit for the praxis, studying that over and over again, and kind of drilling myself, testing myself. 11, did you feel prepared when you took your first teaching position? Explain. No way. I did not feel prepared. I don't know. Does anybody just feel like, oh, prepared? Probably not me. I don't know. But I was really young. I would say it was maybe 21 when I had my first teaching position, and some of my students were 17, 18, 19. Some of my kids had 1 or 2 kids at home. So they're just kind of looking at me like, whatever. So, did I feel prepared? No way. I feel like I was really immature as well. Like I said, I was early 20s, 21. And I know that I didn't probably know how to prepare really, really well and really properly and cover all my bases. So I didn't know what I was doing. Um, and like I said, I think I was immature. Um, 12, what types of certifications do you hold? I think I covered that with my teaching credential, um, and everything. And from the state of Indiana, I have one, and I think it's called a Rules 2002. It's called Rules 2002. I don't know exactly what that even means. There's different ones called different things. Um, so when I was coming through and got my Indiana state licensing, that's what it was called. So I know in the first 2-3 years, I had to do a lot of recertifying, da da da. And I had to do a MAP program through the IDOE. Indiana Department of Education. If you'll see all this stuff on their website, you will get to know that website very well. But I don't know what they do now. The last time I had to recertify was in 2019, and this time it told me I didn't have to recertify until 2029. So usually these last few times it was lasting 5 years, and then now I had recertified in 2019. It was a 10 year. So 13. What I need to do to retain my certificates is PGP points. Okay, so again, become familiar with that on the IDOE website. Professional growth points come from professional developments or leading, helping to lead and organize and teach a professional development. I've done some of that here at the high school, or just taking professional development either online or in person, um, and going to workshops and conferences. And then you get a certificate that says how many hours the PGPs are worth. Um, okay, what am I on? And then 14, what types of professional development do I enjoy the most? And the ones I enjoy the most are when I get to talk with my colleagues and really brainstorm and find out what works for them, what's not working for them, or when we come away with a finished product, like we finished our curriculum map, we know what we're going to teach with this group, or we found some stories that really help for this group. So when I get to collaborate, those are my most favorite and most beneficial. We are having a lot of technology PDs provided for us, which I'm grateful for, but I feel like almost it's too overwhelming. And I like to play around with those things myself. And then if I need more information, I'll go to those people that have the information and get it, or I'll YouTube it. Um, 15, did you have a mentor? I don't feel like I really had a mentor, and I wish I had. Now, if you don't have a mentor, what do? YouTube it. No, now you can. See, in my generation, no such thing. Never, no, no, not. We went and talked to people. So I would go and kind of watch certain teachers, and if they were pretty chill and pretty cool about it, I would say, hey, can I watch you during the second hour and see how you do this project with them? Or, and I still would do that today. If I see something I really like, say, can I watch that? And then what, have I ever been a mentor? Um, yeah, and I, in work and out of work, and like, spiritually as well, with like church stuff or like Bible stuff. But I also, have been a teacher for, um, student teachers. And so I've been a student teacher, like master teacher. I've had two student teachers under me over at Jeff High School, and I've had three student observers under me at Maryville High School. So yeah. 16, did you feel anything was lacking in your teacher preparation? Yes, there's a lot lacking in my teacher preparation, I would say. Again, where when I went back in my day, it was a lot of textbooky stuff. So I felt like, again, if it could have been more hands-on, more experiential, and more like where we really got to talk with real teachers that were like in the classroom, um, and kind of job shadow and work under them. I felt like that would have been really helpful. Or even just, I mean, nowadays watching different videos of different teaching, um, scenarios and projects would have been helpful. 17, what I learned from my student teaching experience, again, it was kind of different. And looking back on it, I almost wish I would have just done the slower traditional method where you have a solid student teaching experience. But like I said, I had an internship degree. So that whole experience was really different. Don't know if they still do that in California, but I graduated from college, taught summer school, got a summer school spot with the understanding that I am an intern, And that was my crash course. I was just like thrown in. Yes, you have someone over you that's helping you, kind of, but um, I don't know. It was just kind of like a sink or swim situation. So, um, 18. What was the best advice anyone ever gave you? laugh, laugh about things, and that. I mean, I know it sounds cheesy, but it's kind of like, how does it go? They may not remember what you taught them, but they'll remember how you made them feel. Something like that. But it's that idea of, know, are you going to be a stickler for every single rule and all this material, and um, or are you going to go with the flow? So the best advice that anyone ever gave me, I guess, love the kids, get to know the kids. Don't be afraid to be silly in front of them and be yourself. Reveal yourself to them as well and develop that friendship in the classroom so you can move forward in this journey of education and get them somewhere through it in a meaningful way. 19, what advice would you give to someone thinking about a career in teaching? Make sure that you love it. Make sure that you. The advice I would give someone thinking about it, teaching is make sure you want this. um, Make sure you have a love for children and a love for people. Make sure that you're a patient person or willing to learn the patience, and that you have a big heart, and that you can laugh about yourself and laugh about life and have mercy. I feel like I became a better teacher once I became a mom, and then I had compassion and mercy and understanding in a better way. So I would just say go into it knowing that it takes a lot of your own heart. It's not just a clock in, clock out. 20, describe your typical workday. I get there around 7:45. By contract, we have to be there like 7:50 in the morning to like 3:20 in the building. And then I teach first period, first, fourth, fifth, first, third, fourth, fifth. Right now, second hour is my prep hour, which is, I mean, if you think about most people working away at a salary job, it's a pretty sweet deal if you think about it. It's very regimented, it's planned. Um, you always, pretty much, you're always guaranteed a lunch. I have about a 2 hour, not quite a 2 hour block of time where I don't have students during my prep hour and my lunch together, where I run around and get things done or check out equipment, call parents, plan, whatever it is. So it's that my typical work day has to do with, there's a schedule, there's a routine, and in the beginning of the day, I try to get there early enough so I'm there at least 30 to 40 minutes before school starts to make sure I have my board put together. I put my agenda on the board, my date. I have my Google agenda put together, and I post that and make sure everything's up to date on Google Classroom, and just prepare so you feel like you can, you know, get get it together. Now that I'm older and more mature, sometimes I try to use my prep hour to really. I don't close my door, although I probably should close it and lock it. But just try to crank out, some grading and some calls to parents or whatever I need to do during that time, so that I get it done. What part do I find the most interesting and least? I really love hearing students' reactions and feedbacks. My most favorite thing to do would be like Socratic seminar, when we're in two concentric circles and the inner circle has a partner with one on the outer circle, and we do this whole setup and they prepare questions based upon the literature or article or whatever it is we're doing. And I love hearing the questions they ask and how they run that show themselves and learning their thoughts. Just sitting back and listening. I love that. Least interesting would definitely be meetings, depending, but usually just the meetings. Greatest pleasures in teaching would be, again, the immediate feedback. Now that people are back and we're not just virtual, I love seeing the look in their eyes. I love seeing them laugh and jokes, and we can go back and forth and it's quick, and you just, that human interaction is priceless. Love it. Wouldn't trade it for a thing. So much better. um and now I love that I feel like I have, and maybe I am touching lives. I mean, I've been there enough years where now kids know me and they'll come by and say, "Hey, hi, give me a little hug. I miss you. I miss you. I miss your class. I miss the energy in this class." And that means a lot to me. That's really special. That's definitely a great pleasure. 23, if you were just starting out, would you select teaching? Probably, because I'm crazy like that. But 24, if you were not a teacher, would you, what else would I say probably medical. That was the other, possibility or idea, like nursing, possible, maybe a specific kind of a doctor. But I love the idea of medical as well. And then again, that's helping people. Then you can get into a whole teaching hospital in that situation. So, 25, what do you think is the most important trait of a teacher? Would be mercy and love. I know that sounds cheesy, but just the love, loving the kids, letting them know you're there for them, and that you'll stop, you'll wait, whatever they need to do. Like, if something's going on with that student's life, you're not going to push, push, push all this work all the time. Work is always there, and but when they see your love, your care, your compassion, the mercy, and again, being a mom has made me more in tune with this mercy and love, that I say the Lord has given to me. I like to give that on to my kids. 26, what changes have you seen in education uh, over the years? I would say technology would be the biggest one. Right off the cuff, I say technology. Things have changed rapidly, where I think it's positive in the fact that it organizes me and it organizes students, because I'm bad with all the paperwork and I'm a mess and I lose things. And I think for some of my students too. Um, but you have to balance that out and make sure you have enough eye time, like human time, and not just everything in the Chromebook. Also, a good change has been this big push toward SEL, socio emotional learning, and realizing that kids need things to encourage them and motivate them, and more research and studies on um, stopping and realizing there are kids that have situations going at home. There are kids that may be homeless. There are kids that are struggling with suicidal tendencies, or maybe their mom just died. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on with students. And so this push for SEL, with socio emotional learning, and PBIS, positive behavior incentives for kids, I think that's been a real positive and we need more of it. 27, if you had the power to change one thing about the current education system, what would it be and why? Less regimented in the seat stuff and more up and active and hands-on. More hands-on and more project based. And I mean fun little projects and big community based projects where you have stakeholders in the community, people with business, like real stuff getting done in the community that students are a part of. And some schools do this. I would love to see our school do this more. 28, I don't know where I see myself in 10 years. Probably still in the classroom or doing something with education or with kids, maybe administration or coaching, literacy coach or something. I don't know. 29, challenges I faced in my career, all kinds, mostly myself being too perfectionistic and demanding upon myself, doing things the hard way, my earlier years being immature or not being fully prepared or coming not very early. Um, and then using my own money for supplies. Now, we haven't had to do that these last few years, thankfully. So that's great. Most challenges have been with other teachers or department heads that are very old school and don't understand they need to let go of some of their older projects or ideas and move forward. 30, what do you wish you had chosen? Like I said, no, I don't wish that I'd chosen another career path. Probably medicine would be the only curiosity, like what if, but I'm very blessed and I'm very rich in love and have a great position at Maryville High School. I love where I am. I love what I do, and I know that it's my calling. I know it's what I'm supposed to do, and you got to know that when you go into teaching. I believe the Lord led me right there, so I know I'm right where I'm supposed to be, and I would say anybody in teaching needs to know that too.